If it's undercovered, underreported, or a waste of time, you can be sure we'll be heard. Nothing is off limits.
Welcome to Broad Street Radio.
Welcome to Broad Street Radio. I'm Michael Morris. With me today. Now, people are going to get super confused because
I think people were smarter than you give them credit for.
No. Are you kidding me? We're just putting this out to anybody that could hear it. There's someone eating glue that's listening to the show.
I'm just honored. I'm honored.
You're honored?
I'm honored.
Yeah.
To be asked back to Broad Street Radio. I thought I'd been banned for life.
No.
And then, here I am.
You know what this has become?
Mostly because you couldn't get another guest, and we're going to have to make Nate sit out here while you talk to him.
Number one, that is true. But this show is like Friends, and we spin out one show, and you're Joey, and that's
Joey.
why you're here, and you're going to only last about 13
I wouldn't
weeks.
want to be Chandler or the other guy, David Schwimmer. They were kind of.
You think his name was David Schwimmer on the show?
No, but
his name was Ross, and he was a paleontologist.
Well, that proves that he was a nerd on the show.
He got Rachel at the end, so.
Yeah, he got Jennifer Aniston. What do you have to say about that?
Wow.
I'm saying he got her before her face looked like the hood of a Dodge.
I'm not sure I would trade places.
Wait a minute. You don't. First of all, this is not what we were going to get into, but now I'm really concerned. Okay, so Jennifer Aniston in the 90s, you wouldn't trade places with Ross Galar.
I'm saying she's hot.
Yeah?
But I think there's a lot of trouble. I think it's probably not worth the
That's
pain.
if you listen to women. Like when women are talking to me normally, whenever they finish with whatever they're saying, I just go and I'll have a taco. Like I'm not going to listen to anybody really, but Jennifer Aniston, I'm not going to listen to her talk either. You really struck me in that I was going to go a totally different direction today. Now you got me stuck. Margot Robbie. Would you put up with it if Margot Robbie was talking about?
I don't think I'd put up with it.
What are you talking about? Who would you put up with?
My wife.
Good answer.
She's awesome.
Just so you know, she's not going to listen to this. You could have said anything you wanted.
I know.
Or as we call it, the truth. Let's speak about the truth today, Stan.
Nathan believes me.
Nate says
Nate?
nothing because I think his wife might listen to this show and he didn't want to get in trouble either.
She doesn't listen.
Why do you have to say it like that?
Because it's you.
Wait a minute.
It's true.
You're part of this and she doesn't even listen. Does she even subscribe?
I doubt it. She's hardly ever on YouTube. I should get on her get on her account.
Is she
just
from
to
the
hit
Ukraine?
subscribe.
Why is she not on YouTube? Everyone's on YouTube.
I'm not on YouTube.
There you go.
Your show is.
I know.
We should quick plug for the show, Objections with Stan Willis.
Objections with Stan Willis.
Hosted by Michael Morris, Esquire. Two lawyers giving you the lowdown on the law dog.
Oh boy.
Why aren't we using that?
I've got
the
a mic
lowdown on the
show,
law,
so I can say you are not a lawyer.
It doesn't matter if he's a lawyer or not. It matters that I know what's going on, okay? So, Stan, defend that. Here's what I want to get into today, since everyone has a microphone, and I want to get opinions on the January 6th. Straighten up. You guys are laughing too early. The January 6th hearings are going on, otherwise known as a 3-week schnorr fest on national television.
It's odd that they called them the January 6th hearings.
It's the January 6th hearings in June, a year later.
It's a group of people sitting around discussing how they're going to come up with what they already decided they were going to come up with.
It's amazing how they keep finding out exactly what they want to find out. My biggest question to you is this.
What I want to know is why aren't they playing the video of Chuck
Norris?
Chuck Norris. Chuck Norris kicking the crap. No, the Senator Chuck Schumer. Why aren't they playing the video of him talking about Donald Trump's election? I mean, because I think that was critical in the whole January 6th thing.
There was a month when all I thought about was Donald Trump's erection after Chuck Schumer said it. And on the Senate floor, like they typed that out.
He totally did. You can. I mean, it's there. He totally,
see if you can find that clip because I think you should insert it into
Donald Trump incited the election.
They believe Donald John Trump incited the insurrection against the United States.
He did in me.
Wait. Donald Trump or Chuck Schumer?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Both of them. I wouldn't go for Margot Robbie, but Chuck Schumer does it for me. That wrinkled sack of shit. So the question I have for you is, this is what came out, and by the time that people are hearing this, you're going to find out this isn't true. But they had one of his former aides, God bless her for getting AIDS, said that Trump was in the Beast, which is what they call the big SUVs traveling in. And when he found out that he wasn't going to win and they wouldn't take him to the White House, Bruce Willis himself, through the back, grabbed the wheel of the vehicle, started trying to commandeer it while there's a Secret Service person in there, and he pie faces that dude. This dude literally is Chuck Norris. He's a Republican who's kicking ass. Now, within 6 hours, the Secret Service says that's not true, and they're willing to testify that didn't happen. So the clip that they're playing and that everybody's running with is that Trump, who they said was in bad health, was lazy, all this other stuff, nonviolent, he was some big pussy. Now he's beating up the Secret Service.
Well, he's 72 years old, so.
How many Secret Service agents could you fight while you're in a car?
Me?
Personally?
I could fight a lot of them. They'd probably beat the crap out of me. But however many could get in the car, I could fight them.
Why would you wait a year and a half to bring that up if that happened?
I don't know.
So here's the beauty of it.
Are you saying that there's some ulterior motive?
I am not. I'm just saying as we get closer to another election, they might not want one guy to run. While the other country has a president that no one wants to be the president. 81 million votes, though. You can confirm that. We have a T-shirt, 81 million votes. That guy won because we made a T-shirt.
Yeah.
Do you believe now? This is what she said under oath, and I want to get to this because us being law dogs.
It's a good thing that he wasn't over oath.
No, can you be beside oath?
I suppose.
Like, is that
you're
just
beside an oath?
You're just gonna kind of tell the truth?
Oath adjacent.
I like that. It's not in the neighborhood, but it's near the park. My question is,
man, nobody ever calls himself the Oath.
We should have called this show the Oath.
The Oath.
It doesn't really fit what we're doing.
You get the Rock and the Truth and the stuff like that. But
the Answer.
You don't have the Oath.
The Big Ticket.
Yeah, I think you should have the Oath.
Nate, rename the show the Oath immediately.
Michael is now the Oath.
Yeah, you're gonna just be the Oath.
I should do a law show by myself, and it's called The Oath. And I would have guests on who aren't lawyers, and I'll tell them, like Judge Judy, bring your case to me, and I'll decide it right here.
Do it.
Okay, so that's the next. Let's end this show and start The Oath. Stan, thanks for coming. But my question is this: so when you're testifying at hearings that aren't really hearings, and so they played the clip of everything that she said he did. Mm-hmm. What they didn't play was the part where what I heard from somebody is that he did this. Mm-hmm. Is that perjury, or is this kind of like it's in soccer, we're playing like a friendly, so it doesn't count as a league game, so we can do whatever we want? I mean, you're also a lawyer.
Well,
no, you are a lawyer.
I am a lawyer.
Okay, yes. Well, I didn't know when you said well. I didn't know if you were going to go well, sort of.
Why do I put up with this?
First of all, you volunteered to come here.
I did too. I totally volunteered.
When we're on Objections with Stanley Willis, you can say whatever you want.
We got to get a picture of Nate's shirt because I really like the shirt.
Add that in. That's our T-shirt company.
That's our T-shirt.
Yeah. So we make all
ShopZombiePop.com plug.
Well, you should put the Fauci Riddler shirt in there too.
Yeah.
That's probably the best one we've done.
So in answer to your question, it's technically perjury, but what you have is you have a bunch of people who are playing partisan politics, trying to get people to come in and talk about their side of the partisan politics. And for the first time that I can remember off the top of my head, you have a totally partisan inquiry being made. I mean, typically they would have appointed a couple of people from the other side just to make it look good.
Right.
But this time there's no pretense that this is completely a partisan inquiry into what may have been the worst inquisition ever, or not inquisition, insurrection ever.
The Spanish Inquisition was the worst inquisition.
Right, but I'm just saying, if indeed what happened on January 6th, which was, I mean, it's bad that people should not have broken into the Capitol building and walked around and did those kinds of things.
Good thing that they didn't, that they held the doors open for him.
I know, but But, if this were an insurrection, I think it is probably the worst one in history.
Well,
I mean, nobody had a weapon. And there was a guy wearing a Viking suit leading the charge.
his name was Leif Erikson. What I'm sad about is on the commercials, they say if your insurrection lasts for more than 4 hours, call a physician. It was like 2.5 hours and it was over.
Right. It was pretty quick. It was over in time for Chuck Schumer to have fun with Donald Trump or whatever, because he was, excited apparently by the whole thing.
I just think it's funny that they had everything kind of ready to go. I'm not saying it's an inside job like 9/11, the Iraq War, and those other things. I'm not saying that.
You're not saying.
I'm just saying it seems a little convenient that the cops are opening the door and leading these people through.
It does indeed.
The other part that I thought was funny from yesterday said Donald Trump was leading an armed charge of people into the Capitol. The only person that was armed was the Capitol cop who
shot the innocent person.
Well, let's just say, and then they turned around and said, well, this woman's in an open marriage and she's having sex with men and women. That's what they brought up. Not the fact that she was in the military, but the fact that she's not faster than a speeding bullet. That's what they brought up. So that was a justified killing. And I'm happy about it. But I don't understand why, what was the, to see if you're a pinko commie. Who was the guy that did the hearings on television? McCarthy
hearing.
I feel like that's what you're getting again. And they thought,
in reverse, yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, in this case, here's something fun to put on TV.
Are you a communist?
Oh, absolutely. Listen, if you go back to old shows of this, Nate, how many times did I say I was pro-Putin before the war?
Handful.
Yeah, I am still pro-Putin. I'm still all in. I'm glad we didn't make those T-shirts because it was funny at the time. But if they want to,
are you thinking of moving to Russia?
No. I don't leave my house. I only pick up my daughter and go to the movies. I don't really leave Grove City. But if we can get some of those Ruskies here, you know what I mean? Just saying, it might be a good idea.
You could start a scholarship program.
Yes. Without mentioning names, we know several Russian women or Ukrainians that have gone to Ohio State on a scholarship program from a really wealthy donor, let's say. Speaking of which, do you have a problem with the fact that the people that seem to be on one side of the tally are either married or dating Chinese spies? Do you think that's a big deal?
I think it's problematic. I do.
Which part of it?
Dating Chinese spies.
I thought you just meant dating Chinese people.
Well, I mean, no, honestly, I don't have a problem with any of that.
I don't either.
And honestly, I don't have a problem with someone dating a Chinese spy. They just shouldn't be in the government.
I always got to listen to the tail end of what you say because I was like a Chinese, isn't McConnell?
No, I mean, because if you wanted to date a Chinese spy, hey, knock yourself out. It's all good.
I couldn't put up with that.
But, if Nate wanted to date one, it'd be problematic because, he runs this show and this show has lots of influence. And so it would be bad.
Are we considered influencers?
Nate is.
Stan is.
Nate is influencer.
That's about it.
Nate influences me to do this show. That's about it. The best part is Nate can walk around in public and no one has seen his face to this point. Now we are doing a big reveal of his face, but we've kept.
I don't know, but
this has been 2 years, right? That no one's ever seen your face.
Yeah,
they've just seen you from the beard down.
I think he's Wilson. I think we need to keep it that way.
See, I thought about that too, but at some point we got to let the ladies see what's going on. I can't just be the one that's I'm the Magnum PI of this, and he's like his black cop friend with the helicopter.
You're the Magnum PI of what?
Of this show.
Really?
Okay.
Stan,
I think you're maybe more.
It's insulting the way that this. Let me tell you about this podcast. This is one of many podcasts on iTunes.
Okay.
That's all there is to that. It exists. So all the bad things that are going on, and there's a lot in the United States.
Bad things going on, yeah.
Did you think more people would watch this? It's not a trial, right? It's just a hearing.
Yeah, it's just hearings.
So did you think more people would watch it? Because I think the first day
I'm surprised anybody's watching it, to be honest.
I don't think anyone's really watching it. I think they're trying.
I think everybody already knows what's going to happen.
What do you think is going to happen? Cares. Trump's going to go to jail?
Well, they're going to come out and they're going to find all these awful things that happened, none of which actually happened.
And impeach him a fifth time?
Maybe. That would be incredible if they would impeach Trump.
All they're trying to do is keep him from running again. I think they're ignoring something much bigger, that they're going after Trump by himself. And then if DeSantis chooses to run in 2024, you've put all this weight on this guy over here so he won't run.
Right.
Ignoring the guy that's probably going to beat your ass into the ground because you're not doing anything about it.
Well, and unless, I mean, just looking at things objectively, unless the Democrats do something significant to turn things around, I don't see. I see this flipping to a different party next time. I'm not sure it will necessarily.
The Green Party,
a Republican. I don't think the Green Party would be it, but I'm saying this would be a good time for a third party candidate.
Okay, but let's talk about that.
This next election would be a good time. I think is a good opening for a third party candidate because I don't think that.
But you can't get on the ballot in most states. That's the problem.
That's true. But if somebody started early enough, they could do it. And if you had somebody who had national recognition, like say
Tulsi,
Ron DeSantis or Tulsi Gabbard, I think they would. I honestly, if Tulsi Gabbard would decide to run as an independent, she could probably, as she started now, put together enough ground game to get on the ballot in at least most states that are important. And I think she'd have a shot as an independent.
What states do you think? Because I'm thinking of the Dakotas. Between the two of them, there's 6 electoral votes, so it doesn't matter if you carry that state. It should come down to a 7%. Whichever party you're voting for, it typically comes down to about 7%, and it's been a lot closer in the last.
I think that she'd have to get on the ballot in all the swing states, and then she would have to focus on states that are like there's almost no reason to try to get on the ballot in California. It's going to go Democrat.
What a shithole. Yeah.
But I think that in New York, as an independent, I don't know that a Republican has a good chance of winning.
I do think an independent, if they could get on the ballot,
would have a shot at New York. I think an independent would have a shot at Texas. Texas typically goes Republican, but there's more and more liberal influence, or more moderate influence in Texas, and I think that an independent would have a shot at Texas. And honestly, if you could pick up Texas and New York, if DeSantis runs, you won't get Florida, but if you could get Ohio and a few states,
maybe Indiana.
Yeah, I mean, then all of a sudden, you're in the running anyway, right? And if you're splitting the states 3 different ways. Because if you look at the elections, with the exception of Obama's second term, most of the states go Republican.
Right. I think it's 35 states go Republican, and then because you're really fighting over what? Indiana, Wisconsin, Michigan, Ohio.
Right.
I mean, Florida matters, but that typically goes red. The South typically goes red.
North Carolina's been a weird swing state recently.
Virginia also. Mm-hmm. So you're really looking at 7 or 8 states.
7 or 8 states that are important swing states. And those are the states that you have, I think, as an independent, the best chance of picking up. Right. Off the bat. So those are the ones you focus on.
If you can get on that ballot. So I think there's 11 states that have been taking, because what I would hope for is, I think that we've lost ground in terms of, you can't have conversations with anybody unless they want to identify which side are you on. I don't think there's the side you should be on is overall of the people. So, I saw people that after Roe v. Wade gets overturned, concealed carry is no longer a thing. Now illegals can't vote. First of all, I don't even understand why that's a thing. But now people are saying, well, you've got to vote for Democrats to overturn this shit. That's not true. Mm-mm. Because the Democrats, when they had 50 years to codify Roe, and they don't, because it gives them something to run on.
Well, and part of the issue is that the way the Constitution is written, anything that's not specifically given to the federal government is given to the states. So the federal government has a limited number of things that are actually enumerated that the federal government should be ruling on. And we have a lot of laws that are similar to Roe v. Wade, which are kind of an overreach by the federal government because it really should be a decision made by the states. Whether, and this isn't, not thinking about what your position on abortions or anything like that are, just from a purely legal standpoint, there's no real right to privacy in the Constitution. There's kind of the 14th Amendment kind of has some odd things in it, but there's no real right to privacy in the Constitution, and there's no constitutional right for things that have to do with abortion and things like that. There just isn't one.
But then you get somebody.
Since there's not one in the Constitution, it is actually something that the Constitution would anticipate should be decided at a state level.
But that's what I was saying is that people will say, well, it's not in the Constitution. Right. Well, there weren't abortion clinics at the time, right? And the makeup of the country was a lot different. My problem with it is that people don't understand what Planned Parenthood was originally created for. And it was not to help with your health. It was to eradicate.
It was actually to reduce the black population in the United States. So.
And that doesn't look good on a T-shirt, but that is exactly what, Nate, make that T-shirt. That is actually what the thing is. And, if you convince somebody through propaganda on both sides, Republicans are always great for business people, as they say, and yet the people that are making the most money are the people that are voting for businesses to make more money because lobbyists are paying them and then they're buying the stocks and all that. But on the other side, when you have a party that we're for the poor, we're for the ones that are forgotten, there's nothing that the Democrats have done either to protect those people because it's the same thing. They're being paid by lobbyists. They're being paid by tech stocks.
In the abortion issue is something that's used by both parties, really. I mean, neither party. I mean, to your point, the Democrats haven't really tried to codify Roe v. Wade. But at the federal level, the Republicans haven't done anything to, or haven't done anything to stop abortions either. So both parties give a lot of lip service to it, but neither party really.
They don't do anything. They
right.
just they talk.
Neither party
it stays at a standstill for a purpose, so that you have something to run on. Because if you had to really run on universal health care. We're actually taking care of people. Like, this is my favorite thing about the abortion issue. Tesla, Amazon, all these companies said they'll pay you up to $4,000 for you to leave the state and go get an abortion. Everyone's like, these are great companies. These are the same companies that are stepping on your nuts and paying you $13 an hour. Mm-hmm. And if you go to take a piss, you better do it in 2 minutes or this thing on your wrist vibrates. And that's an Amazon thing. That's a real thing. It's cheaper than giving you actual health care. Mm-hmm. That's why they're doing it. But now, hey, I want to quit and take another job. Remember when I helped you kill that baby? Mm-hmm. You should probably stick around. And who's going to use that? Who's going to say their employer at Barnes & Noble, I got to take off for like a week. I'm going to need a check because I'm going to knock this thing out. Right? So I just think that there's a lot of bullshit on both sides.
Oh, no, I agree with you on that. And the problem that we have is that we have a culture, and it's the wokesters are the woke side of the world is really enforcing it because they're buying completely into Marxism, so they don't have to think about things. But
they're buying into it without reading it.
Right.
I heard this somewhere. I saw this on TikTok.
But when you go down the road they're on is that I don't have to listen or think or reason. All I have to do is react and have an emotional reaction to whatever is being out there. And the same thing had happened on conservative side. The conservatives for years and years have been the same way. I mean, there's no if you mention anything about any kind of limitation on conservative issues. The extreme conservatives are the same way. They just shut you down. And so what's happened is we have no place for open political discourse, and we have no place for people to actually have discussions about issues and come to sane conclusions. I think that makes for a dangerous environment. It seems that we have two extremes that are so extreme, at least at the moment. It doesn't appear that there's any way that there's ever going to be a middle ground, and I think that's just a dangerous and volatile situation.
So what would be? I think things are going to get progressively worse as far as expenses and all that. And what is the phrase? We're only 3 missed meals away from anarchy or whatever.
It's not. Yeah, 3 days.
3 days, whatever it is.
Right.
So when you get to that point, and some people aren't going to get to that point, I think the Capitol insurrection is going to look like, the bullpen session, and then we're going to really kick some shit off.
We'll be wishing for the days of the insurrection.
Yeah. And again, it's not to make light of it. Actually, I'm making light of it because it's the dumbest thing I ever saw. I didn't understand why people were climbing. The police would remove the barricades for you. It's fine. But I also think that we're looking at this and people are trying to make a much bigger deal out of it because the few months before we were burning down Targets and Walmarts, and that was an expression of how you felt.
Right.
It is subjective of what you want to be offended by. And I think we have too many people that are just, they were raised to be candy asses and they're upset about everything. But you can't have a conversation with them. No. I'm not trying to downplay how you feel about something. Right. What I would like to know is I would like to understand why you think that without you shouting.
Right. And we absolutely should be able to have a discourse about it. And the thing is that on the left, everybody, at least they used to claim like Thomas Jefferson was like their hero. But one of the things Thomas Jefferson said was that he didn't care if he disagreed with your religion, your philosophy, or your politics. Not disagreeing with you on those things would never stop me from being your friend. Yeah. And one of his best friends was Alexander Hamilton, and he disagreed with Hamilton on all of those things. But he and Hamilton were very close friends.
So, and he also had a black family. So that guy was well ahead of his time.
He did.
The show's been brought to you by Planned Parenthood. We will see you next week.